What?
I think that means we're on, Andrew.
Oh. Hello. See, this is so strange online. Number one, how many people are out there in Zoom land? Where's the numbers?
Up in the corner. Hang on, where'd it go?
Numbers?
Here, 3 participants.
That's it?
No, that's us. There's 21 on Facebook.
Right now, watching us.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous. Hi.
Introduce yourself.
I would be Andrew Louisy, one of the owner-operators of Time to Heal, co-operated by that woman, Erin Kapela. But I'm Andrew Louisy. I'm a healer. I'm a philosopher. I'm an actor. I'm a comedian. I'm a dad. Well, hopefully you're not going to say the Brady Bunch.
No, way worse.
Way worse
Sorry.
thing.
No, I can't. Sorry. Carry
Okay.
on. Yep, that's
Anyhow,
Andrew.
and right now I'm in lovely Time to Heal. Erin is at home, and we're going to do a talk on forgiveness. Now, keeping in mind, it's beautiful for Erin and I. We've been doing this so long now. She phones me this morning. We have a talk to do tonight, and I go, "Oh, what's
What
it
about?"
And then we discuss the basic framework, and then we just go. I don't write a speech. We've taught the workshops where we teach about forgiveness so many times, and we've taught these things so many times. We can just say, okay, well, here's 4 bullet points, run with it. And that's what we do.
That is what we do.
So one of the first things we're going to do, dear Erin,
Yes.
as the co-owner of Time to Heal, who trained in healing by the way here, and also rewrote the workshops, edited them, and the workshops are what we teach at Time to Heal so people understand their behaviors and help change themselves. Part of that's through forgiveness and self-forgiveness. Segue, Mark, take it away, Erin.
Okay, so I'm Erin Kapela. As Andrew mentioned, I'm one of the co-owners at Time to Heal. We've been working together for 11 years. I know. We had an anniversary a while ago. We both forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been teaching these workshops for 10 years. Andrew initially wrote them many, many years ago, and wrote them to help himself recover and find a sane way to live, and then discovered that they work. So we're talking about forgiveness tonight because it comes up a lot and it's a big topic.
Because people have no idea how to do it.
Well, not only do people often not have any idea how to do it, I find that often people are not convinced that they should do it. There's an idea that somebody needs to be deserving, that somebody should be deserving of forgiveness.
Oh yes, people throw their ego construct into it, the whole forgiveness package. Why should I forgive them? We forgive because it's better for us to face tomorrow. That's why we forgive. Because
so
it makes the unthinkable endurable. Quote me on that one. That's a t-shirt.
Yeah, somebody else will have to type that one down. That was good. I like that.
The unthinkable endurable.
The unthinkable endurable.
Yeah.
There's our high point of what we're aiming for, Andrew. We often hear forgive and forget. It's a very common statement people make or belief that people sometimes carry. We do not teach forgive and forget. We teach forgive and set boundaries, which is a much different process. That this talk right now is part 1 of that 3-part talk on how to forgive and set boundaries. So tonight will be primarily about forgiveness.
Well, if it's a 3-point talk, what's the 3rd point?
Peaceful coexistence. How do you actually, after you've forgiven and set the boundaries, how do you then create a positive future outside of the patterns that you already know?
Here's how I would have reacted to you saying that after I was married for 3 years. Peaceful coexistence. That would have been how I reacted.
And
Now
that's why.
it's very possible.
And that's why this is all about imagination.
Yeah, we have to start there, imagining peaceful coexistence.
Yeah, at least imagine that it's possible.
Exactly.
So what is forgiveness?
Okay.
That's a fairly relevant place to start.
Oh, well, you go ahead, take it.
Forgiveness is actually the first step in healing. It's not the end result. Forgiveness is about reprogramming our reaction to the memory of an event. It's about releasing our attachment to the fear of the hurt happening again.
That's so good that we have to have you read it again. I'm familiar with the definition, but I want people to actually really hear it. Start again.
So forgiveness is the first step in healing. It's not the end result. Forgiveness is about reprogramming our reaction to the memory of an event. Forgiveness is about releasing our attachment to the fear of the hurt happening again.
Or forgiveness could be about reestablishing vulnerability.
Ooh, vulnerability. We're going to drop the vulnerability word 7 minutes in. Jeez, Andrew.
Oh, yeah, I dropped the V word.
The V word.
Say that to a guy, you hold his interest. Hey, you're going to drop the V word.
Woo! That's Andrew Louisy, co-owner of Time to Heal. I'm Erin Kapela.
And as usual, tactful. So,
Always tactful and appropriate.
So we dropped the V word, but you dropped a definition that is very much, you use big words like enacting. The hell is that?
Enacting instead of reacting is actually basically just about remembering that there is a space in between our feeling and our action. That space is in our breath. And you can actually make that space as long as you want, right?
Yes. I find the words explain themselves. Reacting is reacting. It's like acting twice as bad. Enacting is about going in and acting and choosing your role. Enacting is about going inwards and acting better. That's how I look at the word enact. It's about going inside and expressing outwards more positively. Reacting is about digging up bad crap and making it worse. That's how I look at the two words. I make things very primal and very simple.
I make things very intellectual with my degree.
That's why we both are the Brady Bunch. That's why we offer a wide spectrum of what I consider to be a very objective look at behavioral and emotional and associative problems in people's lives. I think that Erin and I have an innate ability to look 360 degrees objectively and then pass each other's opinions and understand each other and come up with a compromised position on how to find solutions.
That's because we both actually base our solutions and our actions on a foundation of forgiveness.
Nice segue again.
Isn't that nice? You like that one?
Let's go. Yes. So, Erin, first thing, forgiveness. What is it that people do? How do people think the word forgiveness, what it really means?
I think people often think that forgiveness means that what that person did was okay and that you have to live with it or accept it.
So basically, forgiveness means sucking up or taking crap unnecessarily.
Yes.
How people view it.
Yes.
Again, my simplistic explanations, but this is how most people will view it. What is the actual way to look at forgiveness?
For me, forgiveness is a verb. It's not a feeling. It's an action and it's a decision. It's a choice. And it's very much in choosing to focus on the positive in that person or the event and filtering everything through self-respect.
Very nice. For me, forgiveness is a discipline.
Mm-hmm.
A discipline that a person must adhere to if you want to keep your sanity in this world and not hurt people. So I live by forgiveness as a discipline of being in my highest self, or understanding the truth of my simplistic values. Because without it, I'm just an asshole. There you go. Just took me years to learn. Now, I need to point out at this point in my wonderful, illustrious background, we don't need to point out yours, but mine is a must. Yeah, you're such an angel.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, my drug addiction and my my megalomaniac Hollywood career in producing shows so I could feed my drug habit. None of it was about creating. Mine was about my expensive drug habit, so I had to earn money. So TV is a good place to make money. So I produced some TV shows and whatnot. All of it, everything that I've learned of every program I developed was because of the fact that I destroyed my life so totally that if I didn't develop these programs, I would have died a horrible death in addiction or suicide or whatever. I was also an extreme athlete, an extreme risk taker. So being wired on coke and climbing mountains, or being wired on coke and speed skiing on Lake Louise glaciers, and just crazy crap.
See, my story is so much better. I would have just chosen to date that guy.
Yeah, you'd search out a moron like myself. That's true. So people understand the story. My point of my story is this: as much as we learn forgiveness, we also have to learn self-forgiveness. And my worst obstacle was self-forgiveness. Oh, I'd forgive people for everything around me. I was a true kiss butt. Mostly I'd forgive them so I could get something from them. But that's where I was at. But self-forgiveness, I was horrible at. So one thing I want to clarify tonight is when people talk about forgiveness and it's always about forgiving others. Well, how well do you forgive yourself? That's something to consider, something everyone should consider. Oh, by the way, get used to me sipping milk.
Milk
It's not a
pause.
fetish. It just helps my rather active indigestion, to be honest. Now, so we distinguish self-forgiveness, forgiveness of others, and not going and bringing it from our ego. Most people bring it from their ego. They tend to think that, why should someone be worthy of my forgiveness?
Yes.
I want you to take it from there and helping people understand why this is not the proper attitude.
Because forgiveness is actually about me. I choose to forgive because it works for me. It frees me. It's not actually about what anybody else is doing. It's not dependent on what somebody else is doing or isn't doing. If it's not dependent on apologies, it's not dependent on feeling angry or hurt. It's not something to withhold. If I'm withholding forgiveness, I'm saying I'm going to choose to suffer no matter what you do.
I'm going to choose to make other people suffer to liberate myself, which is really bad values.
That's called blame. Brene Brown talks about that a lot.
Yes, but that's how people come about with lack of forgiveness. Then you tend to blame.
And then we can get grudges, and then we can just go around in a circle and torture each other in a living hell where everybody gets to be miserable. And then blame the other person for acting out, and then we can act out, and then we can all just make poor choices and then just hold grudges longer.
Oh, I miss those family days.
I don't. Do you? No?
Yes.
It's so much different now, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank God.
Thank God a lot. So the point being is that, yes, people are very horrible at forgiveness, and yes, most of it is because people have very large egos. Mm-hmm. And we define egos in our workshops. Again, I keep talking for anybody who doesn't know us. We have these workshops where we teach triads of foundational behavioral understanding.
Or in a really simple way, we teach how to make positive changes in your life that actually last, and then we teach why it's still hard to do.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we give people foundational triads so they can always map where they're at. So control, pride, ego, we believe there's a light control, pride, ego. And then the next triad in the next workshop is about forgiveness, acceptance, and letting go. Well, a lot of that will be if you are in your control, pride, or ego. It has to be determined, yet to be determined, right? So one of the things I was considering, Erin, is people don't understand how much mostly dark ego plays a role in why people don't forgive.
Yes.
Sometimes we could call that self-entitlement or self-protection.
Or self-destruction, because the other thing people really don't understand about ego is that we're familiar with ego being I'm better than everybody or I'm more important than everybody. Most people are not familiar with the idea of ego being I'm worthless, I'm nothing, I'm worse than everybody. Both of those lead to grudges.
True enough. And we do teach that, yes, it takes a lot of ego to be a victim. Me. So people are like,
Making
what?
friends everywhere.
It's still me. You know, yes, we get it. You're a victim. We get it. But let's not draw this out so much. It's all about you for so long, and everyone's got to kowtow to you. And we tend to take people through victim states of cancer, for instance, and have them laugh at themselves. In doing so, they're able to forgive themselves for getting cancer. People don't consider that. You know how many people beat themselves up for getting sick? So is that not a lack of forgiveness? If you're beating yourself up for getting sick, are you not forgiving yourself for getting sick? Yeah. In fact, when you're beating yourself up for being anything, that's lack of forgiving yourself, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've noticed at Time to Heal. We've noticed a distinct people who beat themselves up definitely are victims or definitely can't forgive themselves. So that's why we made it a point to make the art of learning forgiveness very important.
I think you called it a discipline. It's
Well,
not something to do on weekends when you're feeling inspired.
it's a way of being.
It's a way of being. It's definitely a discipline. Something I remember you saying about a lack of forgiveness a long time ago was that when we're holding grudges, we're empowering everyone who's ever hurt us.
Say that again. That was a good one.
When we're not forgiving, we empower everyone who has ever hurt us.
Exactly. When did I say that? During a talk?
Oh, I don't know.
That's beautiful.
You want me to track that?
Yes. Yes, track everything. Footnote it for our next book.
Right?
No, but I know this may annoy some people, but I don't have the best retaining memory. I tend to channel. But I need you to read that again.
When we don't forgive, we empower everyone who has ever hurt us.
Wow. That's so true.
Yeah.
Because it brings out old behaviors, for instance, of how we were treated. People we don't forgive, we end up acting like, usually, we get bitchy like our mother, or assholes like our dad, or bitchy assholes like our dad, or bitchy assholes like our mother.
So many creative ways to be.
You can just weave a whole tapestry of bitchy asshole stuff. But yes, and I find that forgiveness holds us accountable to moving past old pattern behaviors that don't work.
Yes, because when we're holding grudges or we haven't forgiven, we're filtering our present relationships through our past pains and traumas.
Oh my God, school did you well. I want
Right?
you to know that we waited a Time to Heal for 2 years. Erin went back to school and graduated 3. Yes. Well, remind me.
And had a baby in the middle of all that.
Yeah, that's great.
There was a baby there too.
Yeah. And I am happy. I'm very proud of you. And so you just heard the intellectual version. Say that again, please. I very much enjoyed it.
When we're not forgiving, when we hold grudges, we're filtering our present relationships through our past pains and traumas.
Oh my goodness, look at that. How many clients do we see do that?
Everybody, all of them. We all do.
One of them. We all do it. Oh my goodness.
We do it until we forgive. That's the thing and that's the thing when I don't know, when we hear like kind of why bother or why should I forgive or that person doesn't deserve my forgiveness because their actions were so completely incomprehensible. is because we're still filtering through it. It's impossible to assess what's really going on right now if you're seeing through something your father did when you were a kid.
It's really interesting though, because here I am. This is why I don't grant myself any immense sacred title. Master.
Helitator. Helitator.
Helitator, yeah, dictator. Because I got tested in my level of forgiveness in my family. And no, I won't give specifics. I want to. I won't even say the song that I made up so I can vent how I was challenged. What I will say is I was challenged in my level of forgiveness. And here's what I learned from that. If it is an extreme breach of yourself, you better communicate to be able to start forgiving. Because I swear to God, had I not started communicating my feelings about it, I probably would have done something very foolish.
Mm-hmm.
Be it violent to them, violent to me, be it destructive, be it hurtful. I probably would have done something pretty foolish. I started communicating right away about it with whoever I could.
And communicating from a place of acceptance, not communicating from a place of minimizing how much it hurt.
Or a place of violence and revenge.
No, communicating feelings. Like, I feel this.
Yes.
Yeah, not I feel like breaking things.
No, I communicated how I felt about the whole, how it made me feel.
And from a place of acceptance, because often, we either maximize or minimize, right? Either it's a huge, great, big, huge drama story, or it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's fine. It's fine.
Erin and I don't always see eye to eye because I can't say that I was in full acceptance of what had occurred while I was trying to forgive him.
I disagree.
Well, that's good.
Okay, so your definition of acceptance is willingly forgiving what cannot be controlled to our comfort in a moment while positively embracing our true feelings in our heart.
That's the very definition I wrote down.
It is.
Yes. Is that always easy to do? Can't you start forgiving before you do that?
You can. Forgiveness is usually the first step because it's a choice and a discipline. It's not the end result.
Having problems with that first step.
Yeah.
I was having problems with every step.
Yeah.
In fact, I was having thoughts of violence and horrible thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I'm not perfect. So my point being is, did I accept it when I started to forgive him? And you feel I did, and I'm saying no.
I feel you were expressing your feelings from a place of acceptance of them.
Yes, but boy, that took me a year.
Yes, it did.
To process.
Yes.
To go through and to come to a point of true acceptance.
Yes.
Because we teach there's a triad: forgiveness, acceptance, and letting go. So acceptance is a step beyond forgiveness, incorporated with forgiveness, and then letting go, well, holy Moses, that's a whole new art form.
It is.
So we're really here to discuss the first art form, forgiveness.
Yes.
What does forgiveness look like in its early stages? What do we say the definition of forgiveness is in our workshop?
That it's about reprogramming our reaction to the memory of an event, releasing our attachment to the fear of the hurt happening again.
Releasing our attachment to the fear. So one thing we do teach is most things in life are based on fear. Most of people's thinking patterns, most of people's reaction patterns, it's all about fear. Ego construct, fear. How can I stay? How can I control my environment so that I'm safe? One thing I clearly know is that it's hard to forgive somebody you fear.
Yes.
Right? But there's a step. So how do we teach people to make that first step in forgiveness?
You imagine the positive. You focus on the positive in the person, or the positive out of the situation, or sometimes just the positive in yourself moving away from the situation.
So let's use my example since I put me up on the docket already.
Why not?
I had a family member very much betray. How can I word this? Bottom line, I had a family member steal from my own mother who was dying, take money from her, and do it in a way that was woof. And to be honest with you, and they stole my retirement. They stole my inheritance as well. But more importantly, they stole my daughter's inheritance. That one really hurt. So she's got an uncle who steals money
Yeah,
from
we're
her.
not talking about who.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so the whole point being, I have to forgive how it affected my daughter, how it affected my life, how it affected my mother. The worst part, good Lord, my mother dying of cancer, being conned, and blah blah blah. I had to go through a lot of different levels of forgiveness. This was not done overnight. I'm not going to lie,
No.
but I kept my sanity by communicating and always making steps towards accepting what occurred through communication. That's what you were trying to say, Erin.
Exactly.
Through the communication, it took me to steps of acceptance to continue imagining forgiving, because the rest was unthinkable what I would do.
And in that, sometimes the first step is being willing to forgive.
Yes.
And something that some of us talk about is sometimes we're not that willing. So sometimes we need to be willing to forgive. And you
Now,
can just
why was
add
I willing
5
to
willings
my
there.
brother?
Well, you can sometimes be like willing to forgive. Add as many willings as you need. Eventually, if you're focused on it, you will drop some of those willings until you're actually willing.
Oh, yes. Why was I willing to forgive my brother? Well, here's why. Because of what I teach in my workshops. But what about people who don't have those principles, though?
You were willing to forgive because every other option sucks.
Yes, killing him sucked. That one wasn't going to happen.
Burying yourself in hatred sucks.
Bitterness sucks.
Grudge holding sucks. Anger sucks. It just sucks.
People don't always choose that high road.
No, well, a lot of people don't know how, and don't know that it's an option, and don't know that there is another way.
That is very true. And through the workshops, we learned there was another way, but I got the ultimate test, you have to admit.
You and I are both very practiced at forgiveness. We're rock stars at this.
Good point.
We get so much opportunity.
Yeah, we do. We get to see the workshops really, really work.
We do.
So now I interrupted when you talked about the imagination right off the top in our definition of forgiveness. Let's go through that definition one more time.
Forgiveness is about reprogramming our reaction to the memory of an event. Forgiveness is about releasing our attachment to the fear of a hurt happening again.
That's beautiful. And not easy.
No.
Not easy at all.
It needs imagination.
So I would imagine hugging my brother. Damn it, I'm really bad at this.
You're terrible at this. You've already said it 3 times. Move on. It's live.
Yeah,
There's nothing to do.
About my brother, you may have guessed now.
No, we won't tell them. Secret.
Yeah. So
yeah. Live on Facebook.
Actually, first of all, venting. So I made up a song.
You cannot sing that song.
I'm not going to sing.
You cannot sing that song.
I will not jeopardize our future. I made up a song about my brother. I won't sing it. But it helped me it made me laugh. Bottom line is it made me laugh, but it wasn't a pleasant song, but it was based on humor. And then every day I would picture walking up to him saying, I forgive you. And I know that you probably needed it more than me. Oh, God. God, that one was tough. Especially when I heard what he did with the money. But I did that discipline. It took discipline. Oh my God, I go through some days where I wake up in a rage, crying, because what he did to my mother, oh my God, I don't even want to think about that. And because she was dying and drugged up. So Yeah, that one hurts. So I would go through these moments of rage. What would be funny if I went through one right now? But the fact is I do forgive him. And the fact is I can laugh about it now. And the fact is it took a long time to forgive him. So what? Where you point yourself is where you end up. And what it did was instill the values of who I am. So by me pointing myself there, I am creating the values that I'm going to operate my ethics from, my being from, my peace. It made me complete to be able to get through another day and support my daughter who was devastated from this. Took away a lot of her, took away her ability to buy a home. It really changed her life. You know, it was a piece of what grandma left for her. So, you know, these things we had to deal with, and we did. And yes, it works. Yes, all of it requires imagination. Can you explain more on the imaginative part of forgiveness, Erin? Which is
I specifically pick a positive image about the person. We're talking about external forgiveness, so I will pick a specific image about the person when they are in their light, or sometimes them as a child, and the child one's easy, so I will imagine them as a child, and I will play it like a movie screen in front of me when I'm interacting, when I'm thinking about them. So I will filter everything through that positive image of who they are in their light, of who they are in
talking
reality.
about people who you have to like every day. What about people who you don't have to like?
How do I forgive people who I don't have to like every day?
Yes.
I find that way easier.
Why?
Because that one's just straight to compassion for the human condition. That one's easy.
I agree. But
it's the people you got to like every day.
It's the ones that you have to, yes, face every day. Spouses, family, work environments, co-workers.
Yeah.
But I find the main go up now. Here's the thing. So people are going, this all sounds wonderful. It's a bunch of cheesy crap. No, it's not. It's a discipline. It is a discipline. Why don't people like it? Because it's a discipline.
Yes.
Forgiveness is a discipline. Is there a lot of life disciplines? Yes, even discipline's a discipline. Get used to it, folks. Life requires discipline. I hated that word. I wouldn't accept it for a long, long time.
I fought it a bit.
Just a little.
Just a little smidge, just here and there.
But it comes down to, yes, disciplines in life consistently being along a stable life.
Okay, let me talk about discipline for a second, because the reason I actually like discipline now is because it saves so much of my energy.
Yes.
I have so much more energy now that I'm not burning it in nothing, in a lack of discipline.
I hear you. I hope other people can relate to that.
I don't know.
That's
but,
what I'm thinking.
Right?
I mean, so I've got people sitting out there, and they, first of all, they have no concept of forgiveness.
Yeah.
They just go from grudge holding to blowing off.
Yeah.
So they don't understand what the hell you're talking about.
No.
And then there's the other people who imagine that person that they're supposed to forgive and immediately go to get the hatchet and picture cutting off their head.
And then there's the people that go, okay, I'll forgive that person and just crucify myself alone at home, and I'll never tell anybody.
Yes, and that is the scary part of what happens to children.
Yeah.
It's in divorces or in sexual abuse.
Yes.
They don't forgive themselves.
Yes.
It becomes a major part of trauma.
Yes.
So we are really trying to teach people not only to forgive others, but to forgive themselves through imagination.
Yes.
This is a discipline.
You keep saying that word.
Yes, because I want people to understand how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
What does the process actually look like? Well, we've explained it to you. Doesn't sound complicated. Yet, how many people do it? We're waiting for people to raise their hands, are we?
Let me see. I don't see any hands being raised.
Well.
Yeah, no, I'm not seeing hands being raised.
Okay, so interestingly enough, it's already 6:36. I mean, where did time go? I mean, it's already so. I wanted to talk to you about reacting and enacting,
Yeah,
and
that's a discipline.
that is a discipline. So
Okay, but let me pause there for a second, because I think if we consider forgiveness a discipline is an action, it's a choice, right? It's not a feeling. And I think sometimes it's the first step for forgiveness is being able to detach from the need to feel better. That you need to even feel like you like the person.
look how much you've learned here at Time to Heal.
One or two things here and there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so. Repeat that.
Forgiveness being a discipline and an action and a choice means that it's not a feeling. You don't have to feel like you like the person. You don't have those positive feelings don't actually even need to be there. It's just a choice to point yourself in that direction.
So why do people think they need to be there? Because we've been taught that.
Because we've been taught that our feelings are all that matters in this life, Andrew.
But
Did
what
you miss
really
that
matters,
class?
what really matters?
Our choices, our integrity, our values, our ethics,
Our thoughtfulness.
our connections.
I agree. So then if we want to keep those up, we better learn forgiveness.
Yes, if you
Yeah,
want to like the people you live with, you need to learn forgiveness.
I like how we had a talk with some people today who we talked to families or people who are going to be maybe have families.
That was not today. That was yesterday.
Oh God, well, whatever. I on COVID time.
COVID time.
I have no concept of time. You're right. It was yesterday. But it's interesting because the key to being a parent is forgiveness.
Yes. Only if you want to be a sane parent.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is absolutely essential to being a parent. It's okay. It's 3 a.m. I've already been up with this child 12 times tonight. Why not 13?
Why not?
It's okay that this child cries day and night, every day, every night. What's the expression that the child is? Children who cry a lot.
Oh, you mean
Colic.
babies? Colicky?
Yeah, the word colic simply, we don't understand why the baby's crying, so we'll call it colic. And some babies do it for a year straight. That requires some forgiveness.
Yes.
And then they turn a year old and they start to spit up food on you. After a
Oh
while,
no, they do that way earlier.
oh yeah, true enough.
Yeah.
That requires some forgiveness for some people. For me, it was all natural and beautiful, but I can understand it annoys some people. And then they are able to mount and ride things and walk.
Yes.
And move into new levels of destruction and risk to health.
And then jump off of things, break things, disassemble things.
Yes, and that requires forgiveness.
Yes.
And then you have to think about them getting older and breaking bigger things.
Do you know what you told me when I got pregnant the first time?
No.
Parenting is they're born and then they wreck your car and then you die.
That's parenting.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're born, they wreck your car, and then you die.
Yeah.
And then they have the same thing happen to them.
It's the beautiful circle of life.
The circle of life. Whatever vehicle, by then it'll be their spaceship.
Hovercraft.
So, what is it about forgiveness we're really wanting people to understand it right now in this segment? That it's a discipline, that it's something that you have to imagine as a discipline if you want to actually forgive somebody. Well, after a while, here's the beauty of it. If you see it, and by the way, you can apply that to imagining forgiving yourself as well. See yourself say it's okay to make mistakes. Hug yourself. See yourself walk up to the person you're trying to forgive. Hug them. It's totally a discipline. See yourself saying to them, I want you to go ahead and make the best of whatever you've done in this situation or whatever. Discipline yourself to do that. And guess what happens over time? It gets easy.
Mm-hmm. It actually does get easy.
It does get easy.
Yeah.
You'll notice if you do it all the time, it gets easier pretty quick. But after a while, it just gets easy because you realize it's a statement of your willingness to have peace in your life.
Yes.
Forgiveness is a statement of your willingness to have peace in your life without having you have expectations too high for yourself. Ooh, that's good.
I like that one.
Yeah, we should write that down.
Yeah, you should try and say that one again.
No.
Okay. Why not?
You just don't want to have those because it brings peace in your life. If you don't have expectations, and forgiveness is a releasing of expectations, really. Now,
Yep.
that's really well put.
Well, and I think the other piece is really realizing that my choice to forgive is actually entirely about me and my own peace. It has nothing to do with what the other person does or doesn't do.
Hey, you know how they have that tiny desk music thing?
No, what are you talking about?
Online, it's called Tiny Desk, where they have music artists come and sing, and they're singing in a little corner of a schoolroom, and it's like a tiny desk. And they have world famous artists sing there. You should watch it. Everybody who's watching this, you know what I'm talking about. Well,
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm too busy with kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Tiny Bookshelf Healing Talks. Look behind me. See,
Yes.
that's a great set. We got
Yeah.
the waterfall picture that I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
gambling.
Yeah.
And we got,
Poker picture.
yeah, and we got the bookshelf, and so we can be Tiny Bookshelf Healing Talks. See,
Tiny bookshelf healing
and
talks.
anybody who's watching tonight, you were the first to be here.
Dun dun dun.
Tiny Bookshelf Healing Talks. I think it's really important. Or not.
Okay. Forgiveness being about what?
Forgiveness. I already said it. Didn't you write it down?
No.
Oh shit, we're screwed now.
I know. There's no hope.
It's releasing expectations. If forgiveness really is about having no expectations. You have to have desires. We teach people to have desires so that you cannot have expectations. So it's easier to forgive those people who let you down. And believe me, people will let you down.
Oh, that's the other piece is I think often we hold on to grudges because we think it will prevent us from getting hurt again.
Oh, yes.
That doesn't work.
Again, repeat that. Notice I'm having you say things 3 times even.
It's great. We think that holding on to grudges will protect us from getting hurt again. It does not work.
No, actually, holding on to grudges invites other assholes to come and feel included in our life program. We give off an energy that invites other anal pods
Anal pods, nice word.
to attach to us and bring us certain grief that needs a good toilet paper wiping. Yes.
I hear toilet paper's in short supply.
Yeah, right. I heard about I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, Erin and I tend to go off on little tangents of thinking, even when we do talks, and I think we're funny. There's a father who figured out how many wipes it is, 20 sheets per wipe, and then he figured out how many sheets he would need for his family, as Amanda was saying, and and coming up with how many rolls it would take to satisfy a family. And I think that's funny, and I think that's a very male thing to do.
I was thinking that's very male.
That's very male, but the child's delight, as the story was told to us, the child's delight and pride in her father calculating these amazingly, absolutely necessary formulations in life made the child laugh, so it was worth it.
Absolutely. Whatever we can do to laugh is worth it.
Do this all. Now, it's interesting. Do we forgive China and their food markets for starting COVID?
Yeah.
Do we forgive Trump for his
He's hard.
measures?
He's a challenge. I find the Trump phenomena a little bit more challenging.
Do we forgive idiots who never social distance and spread it to people?
Yeah.
We have to.
We have to. What else are we gonna do? Go hunting people? That doesn't work.
Well, maybe in the future.
No, I'd say it's happening right now, but.
Tell me about enacting.
Okay, I will tell you how I enact on the practice of forgiveness with Trump, because that one I find really hard. So I'll go with a hard one. Hey,
give me with someone easy because he is difficult.
He is difficult. Okay, something easy?
Yep.
Okay. How do I enact forgiveness with somebody I love. How about that?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Hey.
I'm tracking it.
Okay, Renoir. Mrs. Renoir, paint your picture.
It's actually what I do is I paint my picture. Is I paint the picture of who they are. I include the entire context of who they are, both positive and negative, and I put them in the context of their life and what they've learned and their own patterns. And as soon as I do that with anybody, I go to compassion.
That's a very nice process. Why do you ask me how I forgive myself for all my intense drug memories?
How do you forgive yourself for all of your intense drug memories, Andrew?
That's a good question, Erin. Allow me to answer that.
Okay.
I'm just considering, I'm processing how I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I have horrible memories, like the time, and if my daughter's watching this tonight, I know you love me and forgive me, so I'm not going to worry about it. But like the time I stopped to do drugs and parked my vehicle right under the window where I was doing drugs, one floor up, with locked doors, and left my baby, you, Courtney, who is 32 now, in the vehicle, in a child care chair. But I was watching her as I was using my drugs. Excuse me, that brought out a burp. Brings out deep guilt. That was a guilt burp.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is to this day, it's a haunting image. But I do forgive myself because I imagine over and over me telling myself it's okay because I'm now a father who cares and I made amends and I remember all the ways I've made amends. And I remember what it took to recover from such severe addiction.
Okay, then we need to talk about amends. Because amends is a whole different thing. Because, well, that's such a huge part of self-forgiveness.
Yes, it is.
Because it is. So
it is.
the guilt that you were actually just talking about is part of our contrary perception. Okay. Because we run these patterns, we do things that don't work. It's constant amends, especially amends to self, with the honest intention to get better is the way to heal. So amends is am ends, I am begins. Amends is about saying it's not about me, it's about how I am in reality and in society. It's not about me. It's about who I am and how I represent myself externally and how I receive society internally. Is it through my heart?
That's our third workshop.
Second.
Well, am, ands, yes, but I am, I will, I am.
Yeah, it's a good chunk of the third too. But
yes.
But the thing with amends is amends must be done with the full intention and effort to improve, or it simply compiles the guilt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so all of these things again are discipline.
Yes.
And a focus and to be consistent in it.
So I think what happens is, if I'm talking about self-forgiveness, but it's basically the same thing, is if I go back through my tapes, I would want to improve. I would try to improve. I wouldn't know how. I would screw it all up again, which would compile the guilt and the lack of forgiveness, and then trap me in the same cycle over and over because I didn't know how to actually make improvements in my life.
Good. So what do we offer for people to do that? We offer them. We offer them
a how-to manual.
Yes. We offer to you and your discipline to enact upon the higher.
Enacting is choosing positive no matter what. Enacting means choose positive no matter what. But that doesn't mean choosing to be nice no matter what. Choosing positive is often some very, very firm boundaries. It does not mean be agreeable and be a doormat.
That's correct. Right now, you're going to love this one. I've got an emergency call coming on my phone.
Cool.
Awesome. Great timing. I find that we've made it to 48 minutes in this talk. I'm going to take that call. I have to.
That's
We're
fun.
in the last section of it, of the talk. I really hope that anybody watching today understands that we have a very open door policy, and Erin and I are very open people. And I would like to introduce a business partner we've taken on in We Flow Exercises, who are here. She just got out of the steam room at Time to Heal, so she's not really eager to be introduced. But this is also in our exercise. This will be Elena Bushker.
I can see your eyebrow, Elena.
We
You
can only
my
see your
eyebrow.
eyebrow.
That's it. Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, Elena.
And we offer from exercises to workshops. I won't do any advertising. I'm going to let you finish tonight. I'm going to go take this call. Erin,
Andrew.
job. Very good
Fun.
job. I'm proud of you, Erin.
Thanks.
You represent
Ditto.
health very well. And anybody who wants to talk to us, we're so open to that.
But we're not open, so you'll have to call us.
Thank you. You finish up, Erin. And next week I'll do the talk with you as well. And we'll see if I can last we'll see if I can last the whole time.
That one's fun. That one's going to be about boundaries.
Oh, I'm really good at not.
I love boundaries. Boundaries are great.
Bye.
Bye, Andrew. Here we go. Oh, it's just me. Okay. I am going to read something that I wrote a number of years ago now. But I'm just going to read it. Forgiveness is about saying, I love myself too much to spend another minute being hurt by you. I care about myself enough to move past this trauma and allow myself to thrive, to experience joy and freedom from any dark emotions or memories you caused. I will not sit in hatred because it eats my soul and it hurts my heart. I forgive you to free myself. I forgive you to welcome joy, creativity, and peace into my life. I forgive you to end the cycle of trauma, addiction, and pain. I forgive you to take back my own power. I will not carry your dark anymore. I forgive you to move forward with my own life. For me, that really sums up why I forgive, how I forgive, why it's so important. So if I just go back through everything we have talked about here, how do you forgive? In order to forgive, you actually have to focus on the good and the good and the positive about that person or that situation and love their positive. You don't have to feel it at first. Just even a minute of thinking about it, even just choosing to focus on their positive causes a shift in what you attract with your energy, and it saves your positive energy. Now, the same thing applies if you're looking at self-forgiveness. You actually have to be willing to see your own positive, even just for a moment, right? Letting go of some of that perfectionism. And it's a process. Yeah, it's a process, but it's really quite doable. Before I kind of give a summation of everything we talked about, are there any questions here? Let me, never been able to figure out how to make amends with myself for the flashbacks of my past. Let me consider that. How did I actually forgive myself for my past? There was some forgiving there. I'm not going to go into my whole colorful story, but it's colorful enough. Actually, I'm going to give you the exact example of how I actually forgave myself completely. There's a home video of me in about grade 3, I think, and it was a hard year. It was a really, really hard year. And I was bullied, and I was in tears, and I was a very sad little girl that year. And I have this home video of me at the end of the year at the school talent show, getting up on stage all by myself in a school where I don't remember having friends, and singing the Magic Penny song, "Love is something if you give it away." And I might tear up saying this, but it's the, the love is something if you give it away, you give it away, you give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. And that little girl stood on that stage all by herself and sang that song. And to me, shows so much courage and so much vulnerability and so much heart that the second I watched that video, I went, who the hell am I to get in her way? Who am I to judge that little girl and any decisions that that little girl did out of a lack of knowing, just to try to survive, to try to love people, sometimes in pretty unhealthy ways. But who am I to judge that little girl? And that's part of imagination for me, is I actually go back in time to my own little girl and who I was, and I go, I will not get in her way. I will not compromise her joy or her future or her happiness because I'm going to beat myself up for being human. And I forgave myself. I forgave myself for all of the things I did when I didn't know better. I forgave myself for the things I did when I knew better and I was scared. And I forgave myself for all the times I have put my foot in my mouth or said the wrong thing, or I'm a little too flippant or a little too direct. And I forgave myself for not being the subdued, demure, I don't know, quiet, I don't know. Some of the feminine things that I am definitely not. I forgave myself for not being anybody but who I am. And I carry that image and that video of that little girl in my mind and in my heart every day. And I stay out of her way now. I stay out of her way and I give her a chance to shine in being who she was striving to be. That's how I forgave myself. Thanks for that. That was emotional. Love that flashback. Let me see. Other questions. All right. You have a minute to type down any questions if you want me to answer them. Otherwise, I'll just start doing a recap here. Forgiveness is the first step of healing. It's not the end result. It's not a feeling. It's a discipline. It's an action. It's a choice. And sometimes it takes some time and sometimes it takes some effort. And much like going to the gym, it takes longer than a week sometimes. But with practice, it gets easier. And it's about reprogramming our reaction to the memory of an event. We want to actually release our attachment to the fear of that hurt happening again. And it doesn't mean that the hurt won't happen again. It's that we actually need to just let go of the fear. So much of this is about letting go of the fear that we won't survive being hurt like that again, or that we won't be able to stop being hurt. People hurt us. That's the deal. That's the deal with being human, of being on earth. You get hurt. It's a vulnerable life. But forgiveness is not about saying that something is okay or condoning behavior. It's not about being a nice, agreeable doormat. We teach forgive and set boundaries, and we're going to talk about that a lot on what those boundaries actually look like in 2 weeks. What is it? May 13th is our next talk. Yeah. And in setting boundaries, I stay in my own integrity. I tell people what's okay and what's not okay. Forgiveness is not dependent on somebody else doing or saying anything. It has nothing to do with apologies. These are totally different processes. They're not that connected to each other, unfortunately. Forgiveness is not something to withhold until you resolve the issue. It's actually the beginning of healing. It's the choice to focus on the positive. And it's about reprogramming our reaction to the memory. So why forgive? The reason to forgive is so that you have peace in your own life. I forgive so that I stay stable, happy, and joyful. I forgive so that I'm still kind. I forgive so that I can stay in my heart and stay connected and stay compassionate. I forgive so I can see clearly the people around me so I'm not filtering through past hurts. I forgive to guide my marriage in a positive long-term direction, so we can raise healthy children in a loving environment. I forgive because it's just a better way to live and I'm much happier. When we don't forgive, we empower everyone who has ever hurt us. For me, that's a bit of an incentive. I don't like empowering people who have hurt me. I like to maintain my own empowerment and my own choice. And through forgiveness, it's like, I'm not going to carry your dark. I'm not going to carry your stuff. That's yours to own. Super side note that I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to explain, but when we forgive and we release that energy, we give people back their own karma. People become accountable for their own stuff. When we're holding grudges, we are holding other people's karma. I'm not going to explain that. I'm just dropping that one in there. And the how to forgive, it's very much about enacting. It's about remembering that there is a space in between our feeling and our action, and that space is in our breath. Sometimes it means taking that breath. Sometimes that breath needs to be a long time, right? Sometimes something happens and you need to take the space and just have that space before you do anything be a little bit longer. I call my best friends. Like Andrew said, sometimes you need to vent it out to somebody you trust who will not fall for your dark, before you dump your crap on somebody else. We need to hold ourselves accountable for our own choices and hold ourselves accountable for our choice to forgive. If I'm holding a grudge, that's my choice. And that's on me. That's not on the person. That's not on the person I'm holding a grudge with. It actually has nothing to do with them. So the process is about imagination. You have to focus on the positive in that person or in that situation and filter through that positive. I really do put people in context. I put people in context of their entire lives, because when I zoom that camera back and I look at the big picture, we're all just struggling people trying to figure out a way, right? Okay, well, maybe we can just have a little bit more compassion for each other. And okay, questions. How do you forgive someone that treated you badly, but know the reason they did? I don't know how to answer that one, Brenda. How do you forgive someone that treated you badly, but you understand why they treated you badly? The same way, it's just the same process. You imagine the positive in that person. You focus on the positive in that person and you choose to forgive. You choose to say, I'm going to forgive this. I am going to heal this. I am going to recover from this. I am going to set boundaries with this behavior. It's a discipline. You have to imagine the positive. And next session, we're going to be talking about how to maintain those boundaries. And then in the third talk at the end of May, we're going to be talking about imagining peaceful coexistence and what it actually takes to take that situation. So great, you're going to forgive the person. They treated you badly. You're going to put them in context and forgive them. You're going to set boundaries to change the way that relationship is flowing, to guide it in a more positive direction. And at that point, you then have to have hope that there's a different option. Right? We'll be talking about hope because I think we get stuck in the idea that there's no hope, there's no point, it's going to be like this forever, this person is going to do this forever, they're never going to change. We have to let go of that idea and realize that when we set healthy boundaries, we really change the relationships around us. And I mean, I can say I have seen incredible transformations in very close relationships that I have with people I love dearly. And I've seen major behavioral changes in how people operate, to be healthy, to be not angry, to not be abusive, to just, when I stay in my integrity and I stay in my heart and I stay in compassion and I say, I'm going to forgive you and this behavior is not okay and I love you and know, and I love you and I value you and I stay grounded in me, often the other person then has an opportunity to make a different choice, because we run these cycles out of fear. We run these scripts that we know over and over, like a bad sitcom that we've seen 100 times, simply because we don't know that there's another script. When we change the script, we change the relationship. I forgive you is a script changer. It's a game changer. There you go. Last chance for questions. I'm going to read what I wrote again, because for me, the final point that we wanted to talk about tonight was, how do we move beyond fear, pain, and trauma? Forgiveness is a huge part of that. Is, can we actually free ourselves from the memory, from the pain? Can we change? It's about rewiring. A lot of that's about healing trauma. So forgiveness is about saying, I love myself too much to spend another minute being hurt by you. I care about myself enough to move past this trauma and allow myself to thrive, to experience joy and freedom from any dark emotions or memories you caused. I will not sit in hatred because it eats my soul and it hurts my heart. I forgive you to free myself. I forgive you to welcome joy, creativity, and peace into my life. I forgive you to end the cycle of trauma, addiction, and pain. I forgive you to take back my own power. I will not carry your dark anymore. I forgive you to move forward with my own life. All of those statements apply to self-forgiveness as well. I forgive myself to free myself. I forgive myself to welcome joy, creativity, and peace. I forgive myself to end the cycle of trauma, addiction, and pain. I forgive myself to take back my own power. I forgive myself to move forward with my own life. It's all the same thing. We have to be able to imagine the positive. And it's a discipline, it's not a feeling. Putting yourself in their shoes is absolutely true. If you put yourself in someone else's shoes, you can usually get yourself into compassion. Hopefully. Or at least imagine what that person's going through. Imagine where they could be coming from. We definitely highly encourage people. And that's the other thing about imagination. So let me just quickly tag on to my imagination section here. Dooby-dooby-doo. This is from the second workshop. Imagination is the most beautiful gift we carry in our minds. Imagination can carry us to any place at any time with limitless possibilities to surround our experiences. Imagination opens us up to feeling the foreverness of the universe. It removes us from limitations of physical form. The more positives we can imagine, the more positives that we will create. The importance of imagination is in the ability to imagine what we cannot see. Love, forgiveness, healing, unity, energy. Flowing creatively with imagination opens us up to grow, heal, and see how we're all connected. The experience of imagining how someone else feels, or what an experience would have been like, promotes objectivity and empathy. In doing so, you learn that the imagination can also help to release fears, prejudices, and severe judgments. By being able to put yourself in someone else's place and imagine the related feelings in your heart, it increases your empathy and understanding. The more you do this, the easier it is to accept all. Your objectivity promotes understanding, which promotes acceptance. And if you will recall earlier, the actual triad that we're talking about is forgiveness, acceptance, and letting go. And tonight we've been talking about the first piece. I think that's it. 7:11. That seems like the perfect time to wrap up. Thank you, everybody. This was lovely. I've quite enjoyed it. And we will be back in 2 weeks on May 11th. And I'm going to say good night.